We seem to have more diseases today than ever before. Is it connected to our food sources, the processed foods that we eat, or is it the chemicals and the pesticides that are in our society today? We'll talk about your health concerns next. And welcome to Insight. I'm Paul Arthur. Lines are open for your calls anywhere across Canada, talking about health concerns, and we certainly have some strange diseases today, more so than ever before, it seems, and we never seemed to have them years ago. So why is that? Why are we seeing these kinds of things? And you have to wonder, is it because, again, of the food that we're consuming, or all the contaminants that we are putting into our environment? So what is the answer? Our standard medical treatments do work to some extent, and we're pretty thankful for those. On the other hand, I wonder, is there a way that we can actually prevent some of these diseases from happening? All right, by adjusting, again, perhaps our food or our environment. Is there a way we can detoxify our bodies if it is because of these environmental toxins, all right, that get into our bodies? Is there a way to get rid of them through natural medicine? And on the other hand, I'm going to be very blunt as well. What do you think? Your experience? I mean, do natural medicines, natural approaches work? What's your experience with that? Or do you feel that maybe it's a waste of money and you've tried it and it hasn't worked for you and you feel kind of ripped off because you did your best and then the money's gone, right? So two sides to that story, and I'd love your stories on either side of that, okay? Now, I know we can get too focused on physical health as well, but on the other hand, it is so important. When I think of God's health that He's given us, and then He has a God-given destiny for us as well, we want to fulfill that destiny, okay? And if we cut short our life by simply not taking care of our body, by eating junk food, whatever, not exercising, not taking care of our bodies, that's a serious thing, I think, before our Maker. I really do. So, your calls on that, 1-888-816-2545. Your health questions are welcome for our guest, too. Robert Kish is with us again, a naturopath and phytotherapist out of Calgary, Alberta, just outside of Calgary, actually. So good to have you here again, Bob.
Thank you, Paul, for inviting us. Thank you.
You know, Bob, why don't you tell us a little bit about your practice, first of all, what you do as a naturopath, all right? Just briefly give us an idea of, how you treat things.
Paul, when we have people come into our office, the first thing that we try to do is to find out where the potential weaknesses are within the system. We're actually looking to see where their imbalances are, and using different types of methods and techniques, we actually gather a lot of information using computer systems whereby the computer will gather and organize approximately 5,000 pieces of information off the physical body, showing us where the potential weaknesses and deficiencies are. Mm-hmm. From there, we will go into a technique called clinical kinesiology. As a matter of fact, prior to that, I'll even go into doing some microscopy work, looking at blood work. So
live blood analysis, right?
A live blood analysis, and taking a look at the blood to see what the blood looks like, alive and at work within the system. From there, I go into the clinical kinesiology, and with that, we use a muscle testing technique to determine where the potential weaknesses are. The computer has shown us where these weaknesses are. We can then go to these points and find out, are they in trouble? Do they need to be worked on now? So our whole goal in everything that we do is to bring the body chemistry back into balance. One of the most important things that we do is to have people monitor their pH. We have to monitor...
So that the body's pH level, whether it's acidic or alkaline?
Exactly right, yes. So, and if we know the readings of the saliva, urine, and the waste material of the pH of those readings, when those numbers are in the proper balance, that person is usually doing very well, has no real discomforts, and is in good balance.
So again, I know you've used that analogy in the past. People, farmers who are growing a crop, if the soil is the wrong pH level,
that's right,
things simply do not grow very well.
Exactly.
And you're saying the same problem happens in our body. The problem is there's things growing in our bodies that shouldn't be growing.
Exactly.
Like tumors and those kinds of things because of the pH level.
That's right, yes. Paul, when we take a look at this apple, when we take this apple into our system, it is going to be converted to a positive or negative source of energy. If your body chemistry is out of balance and your pH is out of balance, you're not going to get the full value of this nutrient. Okay, so we try to bring the pH back to balance, and we do that using different supplementation.
Yeah, so you use the herbs and the natural approach to those things as well, or homeopathics.
Exactly right. Okay. So the percentage, if we were to take this apple, what percentage is a person actually absorbing if their pH is off? Are they absorbing 50%, 75%? And we know that when the pH is off, in actual fact, they're having a harder time absorbing the needed nutrients. Yeah. And these are the people that are going to be complaining about their level of energy, where their energy level may be at, and if there's a tiredness or the fatigue that most people have on any discomfort is going to be because their body chemistry is out of balance. The condition basically doesn't really mean a lot to us.
You're saying the symptoms don't mean that much.
Exactly.
You're saying it comes back to a root cause, which typically centers around the pH levels?
Exactly, that's right. If you don't get the pH levels, that's my guide to find out how well I'm doing with the person with the supplement that I'm giving them. If they monitor their pHs, we give them information whereby they can write down their daily readings, and if they follow according to what we also use as their blood type diet, okay, which is another part of everything, then their choices, if the choices are right, their pHs will correct in time. And
so eating food that's suitable for your body.
Exactly.
Okay. You know what? I want to throw this out here, Robert, and that is a great headline. And I mean, this is from this last August.
Yes.
Calgary Herald headline says, "Does 21st century technology make people sick?" This is and you've talked about this for a while, and I know the first time you mentioned it, I thought, that's really weird. And then we had somebody call in and said, you know what? No, it's true. And here's what I'm talking about. Electromagnetic frequency sensitivity.
Yes.
All right, EMF for a shortened term here. The University of Essex research department in Britain examining the effects of electromagnetic fields. And they say that people who are sensitive to this experience headaches, nausea, dizziness, burning sensations. They'll get, you know, not being able to concentrate, those kinds of things. And they say it can come from, you know, laptops, all kinds of electrical devices, your fridge, microwave, power lines, right? So basically, with all the, you know, the TV world we live in now, where we've got all these electromagnetic fields bombarding us constantly,
that's right.
Microwaves, whatever. And apparently, some people it doesn't seem to bother a lot. Other people, it seems to really actually make them sick.
Exactly.
So, here's some interesting, you know, backup to what you're actually saying.
Yes, and Paul, some of the things that we do find out, if one family member is, let's say in our testing using clinical kinesiology, we can determine if a person is EMF sensitive. If that person in the household, one person is EMF, they face that another person, they'll actually affect that person's energy field within their own system. In other words, there's a ricocheting effect. If I was EMF, I could wipe you out. You could be facing another person. You will affect that person. You've moved me out of the equation. You'll be okay, so will the other person. So we use things like mini harmonizers, and I have one in my pocket. I don't go anywhere without it, okay? And this actually neutralizes the energy for about 10,000 square feet of all the things that we are exposed to right now. And I also have one behind me right now. So we do, I won't go anywhere without this one.
Is that right? So you obviously believe in this stuff pretty well.
Exactly,
all right.
yeah.
I'll be looking forward to see what kind of results they come up with that, you know.
It's interesting.
All right. You know what I want to do here as well today is we want to, okay, you know what? Okay, I guess we'll come to that later on. We're gonna take a look at one of the things you use for detoxifying. We're gonna call it the foot cam. All right, we're gonna come back to that in a moment here. All right. First of all, though, I do want to talk a little bit about another tool that you use. You've got it here. It's this laser, and it's something relatively new, I think. But I know I've heard some radio ads recently in some of the cities around this area talking about laser clinics. So it's becoming more mainstream, and it sounds strange, laser treatment, okay? But we actually have a testimony of what it can do, and then you can comment on it after. So let's take a look at that testimony right now.
Brian and Cassandra Meyerhofer. This is their son, Luke. Luke was born with a few challenges.
Well, prior to laser treatment, Luke was born with the inability to eat. He couldn't nurse. He had all the mechanics of nursing, but he couldn't draw the milk. There was no strength in his body, and they weren't sure why. He also had no strength in his legs, so he wouldn't weight bear at all or use his legs properly, and so he was very, what they call a floppy baby, just no strength throughout his whole body and unable to eat.
By the time the Meyerhofers sought out Dr. Kish, they had tried several other options with no success.
When we went to Dr. Kish, we didn't even know that laser was an option or going to be used at all. We actually thought we were going and he was going to adjust his C1 vertebrae with a special machine. And so that's what we were going for. And when he looked at Luke and did some testing, he realized that he also, the plates in his head were all out of whack and he needed the laser. So he only presented laser to us right there in the examining room. And before we knew it, we were having laser done, and it was a little daunting, but it made a real difference.
Yes, I would highly recommend parents that are having trouble with the nursing baby that this might be the answer for them. We were totally amazed with the results, how quickly it was a turnaround, and despite no physiotherapist, chiropractor, dramatic difference, so we appreciated that.
Luke's a little cutie, and he's doing much better. It's quite a testimony. I mean, they were having some serious problems getting this child healthy. I mean, he wasn't sleeping well, he was irritable, was not gaining weight, he couldn't suck. Things wouldn't come together. Yeah. And you're saying the laser itself actually somehow, I mean, I don't understand how a laser, show us this thing, for example. I mean, give us an example here.
This is called the dermal laser, and it has actually two different beams. One is a violet beam and the other one is a red beam.
So it's just a colored light.
That's right.
But it's a certain frequency, I guess.
Certain frequencies. Paul, it's the same thing as if I wanted to phone you on my cell phone to you, I'd have to know your number, okay? Yeah. So what we're looking for with the frequencies, and we have the ability to set the frequencies for whatever we need to reestablish the communication within what Dr. Amy calls the step-by-step treatment for brain balancing of the cranial nerves. We actually have the ability to establish communication between the various lobes of the brain, and that's what we basically did with Luke. When we talked about C1, in actual fact, it wasn't C1 is an area that's located about here, but we're really not adjusting it. We're actually just opening up what we call block flow of energy. But that's where I thought that where Luke's problem would have been. But in actual fact, it was more with the 12 pairs of cranial nerves, the lobes of the brain. And by using laser on that, we have all the frequencies for that to reestablish the communication between what we call the 12 pairs of cranial nerves.
It's hard to imagine, a frequency of light actually healing something like that. But again, I know within days, the baby was nursing and was healthy again. So
exactly,
it's quite a story. And you're saying you also use it for acne. That's again,
exactly. Matter of fact, I have a picture here of a girl from a doctor who had worked on this little girl in New York. The first picture here is a picture of her on December the 11th, 05. The middle picture is January 2nd, 06, and by March 5th, 06. That's the difference.
It's quite a marked difference.
It's quite a bit of difference, you bet.
Yeah, interesting. Okay.
So the laser basically is like the red laser beam works at an energy field of 635 nanometers. It is a modulator to increase energy if low, and dissipates energy if it is high. Promotes increased energy through stimulating the mitochondria, turning on the energy in the living cells of the body.
All right, sounds pretty.
It's all in
pretty
here,
high-fi to me, but
it
works great. You know what? Let's take a look here, Robert. Actually, at this foot bath, we talked about detoxifying the body from some of the environmental toxins that we absorb from various sources. And we've got a volunteer here. Tika is one of our Tika Laverdier is one of our Miracle Channel students this year, and she's been brave enough to volunteer to take off her socks and dip them in the water there. So this is just basically clear water, right? Now show us, what do you do with this then? I mean, or tell us, what do you do with this? I mean, there's water, now you're going to add something to it?
Exactly.
How does this work?
The little box beside it gives us an amperage and voltage reading, Paul. And what it will do, it'll show us where the amperage and the voltage is. And
is that a good idea to mix electricity with water?
Well, the way that the system is working, Paul, it helps to detoxify the body, okay? And as we bring the voltage and the amperage to the proper readings, the body will start to detoxify and cleanse the system, okay?
Well, I'm not quite understanding. I mean, I know you put some salt in there as well, right?
Yeah.
Some salt.
Maybe I should just give you a bit of an idea of what is actually happening. An ion is a charged atom that has gained or lost an electrode and creates a magnetic field capable of neutralizing opposite charged particles. These neutralized particles are pulled out of the body through the skin via a process called osmosis, or the movement of particles through the membrane, from a lower concentration to a higher concentration. In this case, the higher concentration is an ion field and set up by the array in the water. So basically,